If the UFC is having a 4th of July fight night at the White House, Michael Chandler wants in on it badly. Telling TMZ Sports, he's throwing his hat in the ring, and he's down to finally settle the score with Conor McGregor. We caught up with Iron Mike this week, and with all the chatter surrounding Dana White and President Donald Trump, hoping to put on an Independence Day extravaganza at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue next year, we had to ask if he's interested. Short answer? Hell yes. Chandler said, considering his love for both fighting and America, it only makes sense. And while a lot can happen in the next 11 months, he wouldn't turn down an opportunity to get in the Octagon with McGregor to officially end their season of The Ultimate Fighter once and for all. But Chandler made it clear he's not waiting around for McGregor, but does feel like Notorious will eventually fight again, and he's hoping he gets his chance, as it's the fight that I want.
UFC is the premier combat sports organization on the planet, and you want to talk about big shows that they've done, UFC 100, 200, 300, the Sphere, these big, huge fights that they put on. The White House is head and shoulders above every single one of those, not to mention the fact that I love America. I bleed red, white, and blue. It would be at the White House on our 250th anniversary. So yeah, of course, but you're also talking a year from now. It's like when Dana's fielding questions right now, people are talking about matchups and who's going to be on the card and what it's going to look like. And he's like, guys, we got a year from now. We still got a lot of planning to do. And a lot can happen in 1 year. So, we'll see. But they definitely know I'm interested, and I'm going to meet with them this week while I'm here in New Orleans.
Would the ideal opponent for that one be the guy you've wanted to fight for a long time and who knows, might be the president of Ireland by that time?
Yeah, could be the president of Ireland, which would be very, very ironic. Obviously, I'm kind of it's definitely the fight that I want. Everybody knows that's the fight that I want. I have said publicly that's the fight that I want, but I'm also the guy who's not going to wait for that fight. As you can see by me fighting Charles and then Paddy, 2 fights in 5 months. Once he got injured, once he pulled out of the fight, once we had to move, didn't have to move on. I could have very well sat on the sidelines and kind of waited and saw what happened. But I was ready to get back in there and prove to the fans who I am, how I operate, and I'm going to go out there and I want to put on fun, exciting performances. I did that against Charles, did that against Paddy. And now we're kind of just waiting, I'm enjoying summer, but Conor's the guy. Conor's the guy that I want to fight. At this point, it feels like we have to finish the Ultimate Fighter 31. However, you know what? If it never happens, it never happens. We'll see.
At the end of the day, you guys are fighters, and you're never just going to want to end your career, the way that he did or would if he doesn't fight again. Do you think he fights again? He's, in the news for things all the time, good or the bad, photos coming out now and whatnot. Do you, in your mind, whether it's you or not, do you think Conor gets back in there at least one more time?
I've remained neutral on it, man. This is a much more complicated sport than the fans and the media understand. If you sit back and you sit down with Dana or Hunter Campbell and these guys, Sean Shelby, Mick, the matchmakers, the kind of stuff that they have to deal with, aside from just trying to get 2 people to fight. And then there's a bunch of outside circumstances. Obviously, if you look at Conor, the way he is operating, what he's doing, how he's been in some hot water here and there, headlines, people can judge, make their judgments for themselves. Does he fight again? I don't know. So I can tell you this, I'm not necessarily waiting. I'm not waiting for him, as you can see. So, I would like to see him come back. I think the UFC would like to see him come back. I think the combat sports world would like to see him come back. And I do think that he doesn't want to end his career back in, July of 2021 when he broke his leg. Then the pull-out fight after the Ultimate Fighter with me, plus all the, hey, I'm fighting this date, and then psych, and then all the kind of ups and downs in the games that he has played with the fans that have supported him, the organization that has supported him, the people that have supported him. So I think he comes back and fights just to make that right. But is it me? I don't know. I may be long gone by the time this dude finally comes, gets his house in order and comes back.
It seems mutual because both Chandler and McGregor have teased the possibility on social media. We also spoke to Chandler about Ben Askren's recovery be carrying to the future, and talky, and he opened up on how important Funky is to his success. In fact, Chandler said he wouldn't be where he is today if it weren't for Askren Flom. Influing's helping out behind the scenes, and raising money for his treatment was only right. Back to the White House talk. We also chatted with famous UFC announcer Bruce Buffer about the potential patriotic punch fest. And he weighed in on Jon Jones coming out of retirement for the sole purpose of getting on the card. Fireworks, hot dogs, and the toughest people on the planet duking it out. What's more USA than that?
I was in constant contact with the people that were close. Some of his close childhood friends, and Amy, and some guys that we wrestled with back in the day that were a little bit older than me. Have not spoken to him on the phone, but I have reached out, obviously. And that video that was posted, that was sent while he was still unconscious. You know, a small group of us kept it under wraps and kind of private for a while for privacy reasons. And we raised some money behind closed doors and got him from Wisconsin to, from where he was in Las Vegas to Wisconsin. And man, it's just good to see him. Good to see him speaking again, awake, conscious. You know, obviously it was hard to see him that way, man. I am not sitting here talking to you today if Ben Askren was not in my life. I believe God puts people in your life for a reason. And Ben was put on my path for a reason, in my life for a reason. And to see one of the men that I respect and look up to and love and cherish our friendship so much at 147 pounds in a 50-50 type of live or die situation was absolutely nuts. But it's good to hear he got the transplant. It's great to hear that he is back on his feet and conscious.
The UFC right now, and it feels like it's becoming like a cultural phenomenon. It's just like blending politics and the fact that it's going to be at the White House is incredible. Are you excited for that event whenever it takes place?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know, it's supposed to take place July 4th next year for the 250th anniversary. So absolutely very excited.
Jon Jones says he wants to fight on the card.
I was just with Jon Jones at the ESPYs, and I think here's the thing with Jon. He's got to get up for the fight. He's got to be really into it, and how can you not be into fighting at the White House? So I know Jon and pretty much every UFC fighter out there wants to be on that card. But like Dana said, it's going to be an amazing card.
Oh, absolutely.
Amazing.
Yeah, Jon is determined to sort of try to, whoever's like got the title around that time, he
Right.
wants to try to get it back there. Do you think his and Dana's relationship is in a point where, you know, they're friends again?
You know, it's a professional relationship which involves friendship and involves business, so it's always a mix. And the bottom line is that no matter what's going on, they always come into an agreement at the end. Tom Aspinall, being the champion now, will probably still be the champion come White House time, more than likely. So then we're going to probably see the fight we all want to see, if it happens, which is Tom Aspinall and Jon Jones. That's the one I want to see.
Wow,
Yeah.
incredible. And what do you think about the rest of the card? How are people going to have to prove themselves? Is Trump going to be in charge of maybe picking some of the fighters on the card?
I have no idea. I'm not privy to that. I'm not, the powers that be make those decisions, not me. But you know, we have great matchmakers, you know, in Sean and Mick and Dana combined. And the powers that be will put together an incredible card. I mean, all your top fighters are going to fight. From, you know, Conor to Paddy Pimblett to everybody. Of course, Conor hasn't fought in 4 years, but I'm sure if he wants to, or at least he's going to say he wants to be on that card. But you know what? There's so many other great warriors. These Octagon warriors that want to go in. It'll be an incredible show. And I can't wait to roar from the Octagon. The White House lawn is going to be awesome.
Amazing, yeah. Do you think that fighters who sign up for the White House UFC event, is it giving some sort of like tacit support for the White House?
Well, listen, no matter what your political views, all right, the White House and everybody in it is what runs this country. So if you're a proud American, a patriotic American, then you got to support what's going on. So it's an honor to represent your country in the land where the country is headquartered and represented. So I think for all of us to be part of that, it would be an honor, and we should all enjoy it.
You don't think that there's some sort of fighters out there who oppose Trump in some ways? Do you think that they would still like put their hand up to be on the card, or do you think that maybe they'd go, I'm not doing the White House one?
Politics is politics, business is business. I know there's been teams that have said they don't want to go to the White House, but I think if they get the call from Dana and the matchmakers and say, hey, we want you on the White House card, it's going to cut a lot of political ties. They're going to want to fight on the show, no matter what their political views. Listen, the UFC is the greatest fighting event in the world, you know, along with I love boxing, of course, great boxing events. But it's an honor to be fighting for that. It's an honor to represent your country, and it's an honor to represent the UFC. It's not about political opinions. It's about entertainment. It's about sport. It's about competition and warrior spirit. That's what it's all about.
In the land of the free and the home of the brave, what could be more American than Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler on the White House lawn? Fists flying, flags waving, and the whole world watching.